Good evening and welcome to a post-match live episode of An Echo of Glory. We're joined this evening by James Robbins. Good evening.
Hiya, long time.
And David Sims. The first time I've been on with you. Hi,
Good
Dave.
evening, hello.
How are you?
All right, and you?
Very well. Good to see you. Did we enjoy watching that match together? I enjoyed the company.
Yeah.
We enjoyed it, more than enjoyed it, I think.
Very nice. We did endure it.
Enjoy
more
the
than
company,
enjoy.
enjoy the match.
Yeah.
That sums it up quite well.
Indeed. So on the agenda tonight, if you are tuning in to see Jake Robson or the other one, I don't know. Sanders. They're both there. Pitchside at Monaco. You can scrap that. I think they both went home or fell asleep. Don't know. Either way, they won't be joining us. So it's just the three of us tonight, but we will do our best to go through that and pick out the bones. First thing I want to do, though, is over the international break, we had a show where we were discussing, I wasn't here, but the boys were discussing their unsung heroes. I really enjoyed the show. It's one of those sort of where you get to hark back to yesteryear and past glories and so on. And I just thought it would be interesting for us. We're not going to go through a team of unsung heroes, but I thought it would just be interesting for us to sort of pick out one or two of our top unsung heroes. Now, this is not a cult hero, so we've got to be careful with that, because I think we might stray into that area.
Yeah,
this isn't somebody who is a hero. This is somebody that you just sort of appreciated and valued and felt didn't get the plaudits. So let's start with you, James.
Yeah, I had loads when thinking about this, and some that came up before, like Asu Akoto. I thought a little bit about Kabul. Everyone talks about Dawson and King, but actually
they're both heroes.
Yeah, but also like Ledley could barely play, and Kabul was really steady. But I thought he's not my best unsung hero by any means. But I want to talk a little bit about Bentaleb. Bentaleb was academy player, kind of came out of nowhere. I couldn't stand Sherwood as a manager, but I will give him some credit for bringing Bentaleb through. We didn't have really a working midfield. Pochettino had come in. Dembele wasn't trusted yet. And really since Modric, it was all change in that midfield for a while. And Pochettino stuck with in his first season, really to steady the ship with Bentaleb and Mason. Bentaleb being a academy grad, Mason being a number 10 that ended up playing deeper for us. And we had that, I think it was Kabul's cabal at that time, that kind of group of players where it happens at lots of clubs. A group of players gets a bit toxic, they run the place, is the rumour, and that's all it ends up in the press or whatever. And a lot of players were moved on, or Poch had to do like a little cull of be like, nah, this is what we're doing moving forward. And he went with Bentaleb and Mason. It kind of was the start of what came to be with his tenure, I think. And Bentaleb had some issues with his career, maligned attitude issues here and there. Finally seemed to have got his head screwed on the last couple of years, and then had the heart problem, which I think he's only just started playing again from. But at that time, I remember being pretty and getting annoyed that he was in and out the team when we started to go with Dembele. And when we sold him, I was like, oh no, I feel like we should have kept the kid around.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, for that spell, I think.
So Bentaleb is your unsung hero
For this conversation,
okay.
Yes.
Nice. Dave?
I sent a few suggestions to Johnny when he was doing the show, but I think one that didn't get a mention was Trippier. So
God.
I had Trippier at right back in that side.
Yeah.
And I just think with him, he came into the side pretty much as Walker's understudy, right? And he was always really dependable, actually played really well. His delivery was always good.
Spot on.
Steady Eddie. And then in that last season for us, he had some injuries, and I think he talked about it quite openly that he was never really fully fit and he was trying to push through it, and we didn't see anywhere near his level. And I think that's where a lot of the negativity around Trippier came from, was because we were remembering those performances in that last year. But then he's gone on and played for Atletico. He's carried on playing at Newcastle in the Premier League. And he's still got it. He's still got some ability. And actually having him as part of our squad wouldn't be the worst thing in the world now.
I'm really opposite on Trippier.
I think Trippier just got a bit of bad press because he was taken over from Kyle Walker. So, he was off to a loser from the beginning. But okay, very quickly to wrap this up.
I will say though, I think there was a spell where he came in, did very well, especially when Walker asked to leave.
Yeah.
But I also think he couldn't defend. And he would get all his assists against Watford every year.
I think he's a fair enough shout as an unsung hero. I'm going to quickly.
I think more people will agree with you than me, to be honest. I'm not going to lie.
I think they will. I'm going to throw in. Somebody's just put here. Ronnie on our comments has just put Porro was shocking. Would Trippier have been worse tonight? I don't think so. I think Trippier would be very good backup or competition to Porro at this moment.
I think maybe if it was Trippier from the past.
Yeah,
maybe not anymore.
Okay. My unsung hero. There is one and only for me, and that's Ryan Mason. Very much going back to what you were saying, except that for me, Ryan Mason was an up and coming youth academy, and if rumours are to be believed, it was him and Kane that sort of went into the dressing room and objected to the cabal, as you put it, and that was the beginning of the end of that period and the beginning of the Pochettino era. And I just thought Ryan Mason always came on and did a job for us and was a bit of an unsung hero. So that's my one. In fact, I'll probably make him captain of the team. Bit of club news. So Spurs have appointed Dan Lewandon as performance director. You might know more about this. I might be throwing you under the bus here.
Minimal. I think is he coming in to deal with like sports science?
This is it.
Medical and stuff like that.
But isn't that what one of our sporting directors was supposed to be doing?
Sure.
I think Dan Lewandon's coming in from a bit more of a sort of a scientific point of view, and it does sort of speak to the acknowledgement, perhaps, that not only are we getting injuries, but they seem to be lengthy as well. So Dan Lewandon's come in as...
There's been a huge change at the club in the medical team over the last year or two anyway, so I'm sure it's just a continuation of that.
Correct.
And probably I imagine this guy reporting to Langer.
Probably. I imagine so.
Yeah. So,
and the other bit of club news is the Academy played today against Monaco. They fared rather better than we did. They won 4-2.
Have they got like 15 goals in 3 youth league games or something?
It's 15, scored 5 against.
Who scored for us tonight?
Why have you asked me?
I thought you've got it up.
No, I'm trying to find it now. And Jake Sanders did actually send me some notes on this, but obviously I've lost them. And
we're top of the UEFA Youth League.
We are. So we're 9 from 9, but yeah, they're going well in that.
Goal scorers were Oliver Iro, I think his name is Upson, Tynan Thompson, and Leo Black. Tynan Thompson is one of the bright sparks, left winger, really tricky, really exciting, really explosive.
Can we fast track him through to the first team?
I wouldn't mind. Leo Black is a very technical fullback, I believe. I'm not sure about the others. And then Luca Williams-Barnett got an assist and is the guy, basically, isn't he? We're aware of that. And then was on the bench again later.
They're a talented young team. Right. Let's do it. On to tonight. So we had an interesting lineup. There was some suggestion around the lineup, some theories as to would Van de Ven play left back, would Paulinho play at centre back, would we play 3 at the back? As it was, they lined up pretty much as it was written, with Vakari in goal, Porro right back, Danso, Van de Ven, Gray left back. Poor Archie Gray. Roddy Bentancur, Paulinho in midfield, Kudus Bergvall in the 10, and Odobert left wing, and Richarlison up front. How did that lineup sit with you guys?
Well, I think I said to you when I first came in here that when I saw it on Sky Sports on the app, they had Van de Ven at left back, they had Paulinho and Danso at centre back, and they had Gray, Bergvall, Bentancur in midfield, Odobert on the right wing, Kudus on the left wing. I was like, what is this?
Yeah. I've worked alongside UEFA a couple of times, and they have to sign off the team sheets, and they'll decide sometimes for the graphics. And depending on your delegate, tells you how much they know about football sometimes.
I was really worried when I saw that. Then when I saw them actually line up, I was like, okay, well, this makes a bit more sense. Again, I think I mentioned it on the show earlier in the week. I'm surprised about Sarr not being used more. I think his legs and his dynamism in this type of game would have been really valuable. But yeah, it wasn't an overly shocking selection, I don't think.
I wasn't surprised. I don't like Bergvall in the 10.
Was Simmons the big surprise? Simmons and Spence, I guess, the two big surprises.
I think it's a bit of rotation. And if you think we want to play someone else in the 10, we don't really have anyone. So needs must, I suppose. But I don't love Bergvall in the 10. I don't think he works there. I think he is better playing deeper. I think everyone is pretty against the Bentancur Paulinho midfield at this point because, and this is where we go back to that discussion of people going, oh, why are people saying no to Paulinho? It's like, no, the problem was never Paulinho. It's the makeup of the midfield. The problem is not Bentancur, it's the makeup of the midfield. But at least Paulinho is a specialist defensive machine, whereas Bentancur is just this like
it's just a ball ticker over.
Yeah, he's a Newton's cradle.
He's not progressing the ball, and that's my biggest issue at the moment. Is that the two of them together? We've seen it in the league, and we've seen it again tonight. It's just not giving us enough offensively.
Okay, but you mentioned Sarr, for example. Do you see him as a ball progressor?
He's not really.
He's not a ball progressor per se, but he's more dynamic in his movement, and he will then burst and give an option and go past players.
Carrier, isn't he?
Where I don't think that Bentancur offers that. So Bentancur's a little bit more static. He'll drop. He'll try and pick up the ball, keep it shifting sideways. But actually, that's not what we need. When we're trying to break lines and we create a bit of space, we need to move the ball quickly. We need someone bursting and busting their gut to go above and beyond, and offering an option coming into the box late, which, we seem to only have one man in the box when we're getting out wide, and it's got to be a perfect cross, into them.
I think we'll get on to more structural issues a bit later, but just to look in the comments, speaking lineup a lot, we spoke about Porro in the game, and Porro is getting some pelters in here. Porro statistically is having an excellent season defensively and forward, and I think you can, and attempting progressive passes, etc. His statistics are really high, and I think it does show in the eye test. But I had the complaint on Sunday. We have one move going forward, and that's get the ball out to Porro, put it to Kudus, go.
Kudus, yeah.
And over and over and over and over again. And I think Porro's great when we're a cohesive team and you see him get that opportunity to pick a pass and progress from deep. But we're basically relying on him to do it at every waking singular moment of the match. And as you see a lot more of him, then every pass where he, again, the only person from a deeper position really trying to get the ball forward in some way. If we're doing it all the time, we're going to see a lot of him. And guess what? Progressive passes are hard. You're going to see low pass completion, and it's going to be rough. And we saw today it got rough, and that's going to happen.
If it doesn't work for him, and his delivery wasn't great tonight, then he gets the pelters. But actually, I think he needs to be pushing further up the pitch, and then giving it to Kudus higher up the pitch. Yeah. We're getting it out to Kudus on the halfway line, or we're lumping a ball into him and expecting Kudus to basically turn his man, or run at his man, then get down to the thing.
But we're relying on it because he can do that. But then
can do it. But then by the time he's actually get to the final point where he needs to do something, he's spent. Yeah. He's already run 30, 40 yards every time.
We're asking on left wingers to do the same thing, and they're not freaks like Kudus.
But as it happens, we started the game okay, I thought. I actually thought
first half was okay.
First half was pretty. They had a couple of chances. Vicario, who's come in for a bit of stick recently, made some good saves. But I thought the game in the first half was a pretty even affair. I think if it was a round of boxing, the score would be like 10-9 to them.
Even maybe we felt a little bit on top, at least control.
Yeah, it didn't feel like we were not in the game. It felt like we were very much in it. I guess, the positives from that first half, he always impresses me. I think he impressed everybody every game he played last season in the wrong position. It was Archie Gray. In that first half, I thought was absolutely exceptional.
I thought whole match he was,
and actually late on in the game as well. He was the one trying to drive
when he moved
forward.
into midfield
and drive from midfield. And doesn't have to be passing; it could be running.
And so we've been talking about midfield. I'm wondering why. Basically, every player in this squad seems to have had a chance of some sort, except for Archie Gray, who started against Burnley. And then we haven't really seen him start since. And to me, he's the one with the actual ability to really go and take this midfield on. And we are missing that. We're missing somebody who can pass. He can pass. We're missing somebody who can drive. He can drive. We talk about Sarr as being a ball carrier. Archie Gray is a ball carrier for me. And this poor kid just keeps getting shunted about all over the pitch. Right back, left back, centre back. He's played minimal number of games in centre mid. But actually, Newcastle pre-season centre-mid, he was exceptional. Burnley had a very fine game. As you mentioned just now, Dave, last 20 minutes into midfield, very, very good.
Yeah.
why is he not getting the opportunities? What's going on here? Because we come back to the conversation about Bentancur, and Bentancur was a player that I loved, I think, pre-injury. I think Johnny and I both had a huge amount of love for him. We loved this sort of maverick on the ball, but he seems to have lost all of that. He's not beating players. He hasn't got that turn on him anymore. He's not driving. And I'm looking at him wondering, what do you offer?
Yeah.
What do you offer at the minute? And it's not a lot.
No.
So I'd much rather see one of Gray, Sarr or Bergvall. And my choice out of those three at this moment would be Gray. Why is he not getting the opportunities, do you think?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I mean, I think all of the other players mentioned have more minutes at the top level. And Bergvall broke in last season. Still an extreme talent. He's getting some pelts in the chat, and he was poor today. But again, being played out of position.
He's another one.
It's not his position at all.
No.
And he struggles with it. I think he needs to come from deep with options rather than being the guy.
About
Bergvall, yeah. But then Gray hasn't had those minutes.
No.
Like them. So I'd be happy to see Bergvall deep, but I'd really want to see Gray start. I think every time he's played brilliantly. He's earned it, but I think it's a bit combination of age, experience, and minutes. Bentancur and Palhinha are experienced professionals that have been in the game for a long time now, and I just think Frank is valuing that, because he did mention about Bergvall, and I wonder if it stretches out to our other midfielders. Positional discipline. Bergvall likes to go run around a bit, and that can be a concern. Maybe that.
My concern is decision making as well, like in-game decision making. So you saw with Bergvall,
from Bergvall,
from all of them really. I think they all have moments of stupidity and brain fart. You know, so you've got Bergvall today. He had the ball in his area, had it in our half, and he had it deep. And he had an opportunity to lay it off probably 3 or 4 times, and he ended up getting caught in possession, and then they broke and had a chance.
Yeah, there was one in particular in the first half which they nearly scored from. That was bad.
And there was a couple of times like that. But I also think that our midfielders are pretty stupid in terms of when they make challenges. They often will foul unnecessarily. Instead of just holding someone up and just, you know, making them play backwards, they'll give them a little push.
Do you know something? I find that on every team. You know, I'm hypercritical of our team when they make those stupid fouls. But I watch other games and I'm like, such a stupid foul, and then in my head I'm like, our guys do that, and also these players are waiting for the slightest touch to go down. I think the one that you're talking about in particular, that incident, the ball gets pinged into Bergvall. He's coming back. He's looking for the ball. He's running back, and he receives a ping ball into him, probably just inside our half, but it's pinged in from about 20 yards away. So he's got to bring it under control. My problem here is Bergvall is an aggressive player in the sense that I think what he wants to do is get us on the front foot. He doesn't like to touch it back.
No, he wants to turn. He
wants to try. He wants to exactly.
I'm open to trying.
Yes, but at the right time.
Yeah. But then also his body shape was wrong for that. Then he should have been trying to pick it
on
up
the half turn, which is why he's not a 10.
It's experience,
right? Which is why he's not a 10. And here's the thing. I have a feeling at this moment that we are suffering, and people will say, "Oh, you're just blaming Ange because you hate Ange." I don't hate Ange, by the way, but I think we're suffering a hangover from the Ange era, where our 3 kids were all played out of position and are now cast as things that they are not. Bergvall was played in a 10, and I think he's now being cast as a 10. And the disappointing thing for me is that he turned around and said, "I quite enjoy that position." You're not a 10, mate. I think you're an 8 or a 6. Sarr is now another one who's been played as a 10. For me, Sarr is an out-and-out 6, and to this day, his best performance, in my view, was away in the San Siro on his debut for us. And poor Archie Gray, another one, being played everywhere and anywhere, but in the position that he should be. And I think...
So what do you think Archie Gray is, though?
I think he's a 6.
So you say we've got 3 6s?
I think a lot of
4 6s.
No, I think Bergvall and Sarr are probably...
8. They're 6 8s, all of them,
yeah,
really.
all of them 6 8s.
And I think if I was going to pigeonhole them and develop them, I think Sarr is brilliant box-to-box, but you could easily think about moulding him into a tackle monster like Palhinha. I don't know. I get this move from Gray that he's quite silky. He's got a good pass in him. He can spin a man.
So I could see him in a
really good. No, I could see him as being a really good and deeper position as a 6.
6, yes, exactly.
And Bergvall, I think, is that all round.
Yes.
8 who's.
But do you not agree
forward.
that they've all been miscast at this moment and they all need to redefine themselves?
I don't think Bogle was played out of position under Ange. He was played in a midfield 3 on the other side.
Towards the end when he was a 10 because of injuries.
But Gray, absolutely. And Gray didn't perform well out of position last season by any means, but it was admirable.
Yeah.
Really. And he looked better than Dragusin, is my opinion generally on that, but I don't think any of them were good. And Sarr has always reminded me of Ramirez. Do you remember Ramirez at Chelsea?
Yes.
I feel like peak Sarr is like starting sometimes, bench sometimes, legs, gets in the box, get chances off, really secure, absolute hassler on the pitch. I think that could be a really good idea of how we see him. And I get why we've put him as a 10 is because he's a good presser. But I do think there's a lack of faith in these guys playing in a deeper position.
But then when does that come? If they're not getting the minutes, when does it come? And this is my problem. I think Archie Gray, how does he develop if he's not being played in the position and being trusted? And you've got to accept, I'd much rather not see anybody make mistakes. But if we're going to see it, I'd much rather see Gray making mistakes than Bentancur just playing in a shoehorn like that.
Yeah.
Like at least try things. I don't mind seeing Bergvall. You're right, his body position was wrong. But I can see what he's thinking. He's thinking, I want to get this turn and get us underway.
And I think people and some in the comments who are giving him I think Roberto, I think you're a bit angry after that match, which is absolutely fair.
I haven't been following the comments, so tell me.
A lot of players pelters. I think Bergvall has a football brain, and we're forgetting all of his good performances he's had for us.
Bergvall has a football brain. This is why
Xavi ain't it. He's been here 5 minutes.
Yeah, so we're going to come on. We're going to come on Xavi. We're going to come on Xavi. We're going to come on to Richarlison. We're going to come on to Odegaard. We're going to do all of these. I think a few things need to be kept in mind. As much as Monaco are having problems this season, they are undefeated at home since February 7-8 months.
They've got some very good players.
They've got some very good players. Akliouche, I thought, was the first time I've really watched him tonight.
Really?
I can't pretend that I am a Euro
really
watcher
technical.
of, particularly not the French First Division. Ligue 1. I can't pretend that I watched that. So I haven't seen
McDonald's, I think, or something.
I haven't seen too much of him, but he was impressive tonight. A player that we were linked with, a player that surely will end up in a big league with a big team. Yeah. He looked very good. But I think sometimes we fall into the trap of, none of this is to excuse the performance, and so please nobody come at me and say, oh, you're just making excuses. I'm not. The performance tonight was below par by some way, and it needs to be better. But you're going away in the Champions League, I think, to 2 tough places, and we've got 5 points from 3 games with two away games out of the way. I think we're quite nicely set in the Champions League at the moment.
I would agree with you.
And somebody made the point earlier was, with the Europa League, at least when we had these dross performances, there was always a sort of belief that we could go on and win it. What is the point of this? We're not going to go on to win it. No, we're not going to win the Champions League this season. But, I do think the point of it is to get to the quarterfinals and then see what happens and have an exciting night, right? And we're well set at the moment to do that. So amidst all this doom and gloom, what I would say is, and you talked about structure earlier, and we'd come on to it, we are becoming hard to beat. And people will say, how can you say that after Villa? Well, I'm going to pick up on Villa very quickly. Villa, again, was another hard-to-watch game. I don't think either team really did enough to win it. But Villa beat us with 2 stunning goals.
Yeah.
Absolutely stunning goals. And they created the sum total of F all apart from that. Like, they really did. And it's not even as though I can say Villa got into positions where the final ball was bad or the decision was bad. I just don't think Villa did a damn thing. How we lost that game, to me, is a bit of a weird thing. I do think he's making us hard to beat, and I think the starting point for any manager is that. Surely,
I agree with you, but tonight we gave up 23 chances.
Sure,
and there was some really good chances in there, and we could have easily conceded 3 or 4 or 5.
Well, let me give you a stat. We faced 20 shots tonight, which is the most for us in the Champions League since conceding 24 versus Bayern in 2019, which ironically enough was not the 7-2 win. That was the 3-1 win for Bayern.
I had the 7-2 whatever was madly skewed. It was
that was weird.
It was unbelievable shots.
That was weird.
Coming from everywhere. It was so bizarre.
But my point is, we weren't difficult
no,
to beat
tonight we weren't. Tonight we weren't. But generally,
I will say, and I think this is why it gets so much hate, is that no one, when we've been winning games, no one likes to be told, "Oh, we shouldn't have won it," because you want to be happy and you want to celebrate and you want to be excited. But it doesn't go away from the proof of that over the course of the season thus far, unexpected goals, which is a bit of a curse word sometimes.
But it does start to tell a story.
It does tell a story. And the story is we're distinctly average in attack and defence. We actually do we're conceding less than last season, way less. I think we were 17th or something for conceding chances XG last season. And we're like 11th, 12th now. But we're very similar in attack. So we've kind of levelled out, and the results will catch up with you. And we've seen with Liverpool in the last few weeks in the Premier League, I've said all season, they don't look very good. They look like Angeball. Yeah. 2 centre-backs back getting broken on all the time and conceding chances, and it's caught up with them.
Yeah.
It's more often than not going to catch up with you, and we have a lot of developing under this manager.
But unless, and I think there needs to be a bit of leeway here. Okay, I think Frank is still finding out how do we move the ball forwards. We haven't got Solanke. I think Glenn Hoddle, I think, was talking about it, or one of the pundits was, and it's something I've been saying for the last sort of couple of weeks. I don't think people appreciate what a big miss Solanke is. And actually, we'll come on to Richarlison and Kolo Muani in a minute. But Kolo Muani up front for the 20-minute cameo that he had showed a bit more, in my view, about exactly why we missed Solanke, because suddenly there was a big guy up there who was able to play with his back to goal, actually took it down well from the more direct ball.
Telescopic legs as well, just freaking go gadget
but
legs.
This is what Solanke does as well, right? And Richarlison just
doesn't offer
that. He's not that guy. He's not that guy. I don't know what guy Richarlison is. I'd actually have Richarlison as a left winger. I think that's his best position. But Richarlison is not that guy, and I think we miss Solanke a tremendous amount.
But we missed Udogie massively as well.
Of course, and we miss Udogie massively, and we miss Romero massively, and I think Kulusevski coming back will be massive for the team as well. So you talk about it catching up with us, but I do think at the minute we are missing a lot of avenues to our attack. Simons I want to talk about very quickly, shortly I should say, not very quickly, because I want to start really from the back and talk about Vicario, because I think he deserves it tonight.
Yeah. But I think we're going to be hounded if we don't talk about Frank and the setup in the.
We'll talk about all of it, right? But just coming to your point about it catching up with us, I do think if the defensive structure is there, there is more than enough to come back into the team for me that says that will develop. But let's talk about Vicario, and then we'll go on to the setup. But Vicario has been getting pelters this season. I do think that he was positionally wrong for the first goal against Villa. I'm not convinced that even if he was a step or two over to his right, which would have been the position, he would have saved it. But he might have given himself a chance. Tonight, though, aside from one error out of his feet, I think it was.
Yeah, when he just passed it out nearly to the winger or whatever.
Yeah, he didn't have an option, so just bang it out. If in doubt, get it out.
Yeah.
Right, it's the first thing you're taught in football, and he basically passed it to them. But aside from that, he was exemplary, wasn't he?
I think so, although I would pick up on one thing. Where Akliouche, you said he should have laid it sideways instead of having the shot.
Yes. No, he should have put it down the line.
Put it down the line. Yeah. But if you look at Vicario, I'd be interested to see Vicario's positioning again there, because had that gone top corner, I don't think he's getting anywhere near it.
Dave, I think often when a ball goes top corner, keepers aren't saving it.
No, but as in, I feel like he was quite far off his line. It didn't have to go very high to beat him. I think if it had been on target, he would have been in trouble. Is that just the nature of the position that he had to take? Or is that poor positioning? I don't know. I'm not a goalkeeper, but that's the only one that
from him today.
That kind of potentially stood out for me.
It's a funny one, because it's starting to remind me a little bit of it's either Paul Robinson or Neil Sullivan.
So I think Aurelio Gomez.
No. I'll tell you where I'm coming from with this. Paul Robinson or Neil Sullivan started their downward slide. I've been thinking about which one it was, and I feel like it was Paul Robinson. Amazing, saving anything in the box, reflex saves, unbelievable. But then the downward slide started. He started to get beat from long shots, left, right, and centre.
Started getting a bit overweight, wasn't it? And then he was slow to get down.
Yeah, and it was just like, what's going on here? And I think that was the beginning of the end. I hope that's not the case for Vicario, because I like him. But you got to give credit where it's due. Like, you know, we're not talking here of whether Vicario is our long-term, next 5 years, number one. I'm just saying that tonight, he was man of the match.
Yeah.
And
kept us in the game.
And we can slate him
he
on...
saved every shot on target today. There were 8 shots on target. He saved them all. He's top of the XG saved table, I believe, in the Premier League. And again, single game XG is useless for the most part, but he did stop, by saving all goals and shots on target, stop 2.6. Yeah. They've underperformed.
They had a 2.6 XG tonight.
Yeah. Massively underperformed.
He was massively...
4
he
diving
was man of the
saves.
match.
Eight saves in the box,
and
sweeped up.
I'm delighted for him, because he has come in for a bit of stick, and I look, you know, you don't want your keeper to be man of the match ever. Really, you don't really want your keeper ever to have to make a save, ideally. But the reality is that tonight he was sensational. He had a great game, and hopefully that's the reboot and the kickstart. You were telling me before the game that we hired a goalkeeping coach from Liverpool who's meant to be... I
don't know if he came from Liverpool, but he was at Liverpool before. Yeah, really...
One of the very highest rated.
Really highly rated goalkeeper coach. Really clever training sessions, really innovative training sessions and stuff with like putting... I think he puts like horse blinder kind of things on players as well to help them with passing out, to make sure they're really analysing what's around them, and like clever things with like, I don't know, make the ball bounce in funny directions towards the goal. But I just wonder, and it's purely theorising, when a team changes manager, you see different players get better, you see different players get worse. You also start to see lots of injuries because of the change in the programme, the fitness training programmes. I just wonder if a goalkeeper coach change will affect a goalie. I mean, we're talking at the top percentage of a sport here.
Yeah.
Minor macro things matter, and I wonder if that can cause any change.
Could. I mean, I suppose it depends what you're being asked to do. If Ange is coming in and asking you to start playing the ball in a certain way and playing short passes, and you're constantly having to think about the game all the time, when it actually comes to making a save, you're probably thinking about something else while you're actually focusing on what you're supposed to be focusing on. If a manager then comes in and actually simplifies the role for you, maybe that has the opposite effect, and you suddenly are freed up to be able to think, actually, you know what, I don't need to worry about, do I have to find this person in the tightest space and play out from the back? I can actually just focus on my shot stopping.
I think the short of it is, no player is ever perfect. It doesn't matter who you are. Peter Schmeichel made mistakes, and he, for me, was the number one. People talk about Dave Seaman or whatever, but for me, the greatest keeper in the Premier League.
I've never seen Manuel Neuer personally have an amazing game, but I know he's clearly like...
Oh, he's fantastic.
I watched like 5 times.
He's unbelievable.
I think I've caught him on every crap game.
Yeah, I mean,
I know he's amazing.
But the difficulty is he played his career for a team that didn't give up many chances, because they were the very best team. So how good a shot stop, how good would Manuel Neuer have been for Tottenham? Don't know.
But Van der Sar, or
Van der Sar, but Peter, but all these keepers, they've all got a mistake in them, and Vicario certainly does. I don't think he is the best keeper in the world by a very long shot, but I also don't think he's the biggest problem in our team.
Absolutely
by a very, very long shot.
I think this is his first dip in form, really.
Yeah. And
he's been an exceptional shot stopper up until the early points of this season.
And I don't want to sort of labour the points. There's a lot to get through, a lot of other players and structure and so on. But I do want to say, because he has had a lot of stick, and it's not upset me because some of it has been due, but I like Vicario, and I'm delighted for him tonight. And well played, and thank goodness for him. I want to move on to the defence, where, we're not going to we've spoken about Archie Gray. We're not going to talk too much about Porro or Van der Ven, so we know exactly what they are. We spoke about unsung heroes, and you and I sort of said, you know what, Kevin Danso in years to come could go on to just be an absolute unsung hero. Yeah. I really like him.
Best backup centre-back we've had in years, and I liked a lot of our backup centre backs. I think Dyer had a good spell there before his appendicitis and getting too muscly and couldn't turn anymore. I think Davinson Sanchez had spells as well of good and bad.
Yeah,
but Danzo's just Mr. Reliable.
He's strong. He's athletic. He's good in the air.
He can play a bit.
He's quick enough.
He's
he
a great dribbler.
He can play out and drive out from the back. He seems to kind of, obviously, he speaks English as well. Good communicator.
No, Roberto.
No. Hang on. Dragoshin is coming. So Roberto Camp on our comments has said, when will Dragoshin be fit to play? Look, a similar thing actually with Danso, because Danso got some stick last season, but I think any defender coming into that defence is onto a hiding for nothing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And in January.
That system.
and in January.
But that's what I'm saying. The system.
Sorry, that's what I meant to say. In that system. Not so much the defence, because I think these are good players. But in that system, any defender coming in January without having had the opportunity to train in it, that would have made a difference. but coming in January,
you're back on your own here, and the ball's coming.
Exactly.
Chase down four opposition players.
Go and stop the attack. No, listen, he was onto a hiding for nothing, and he got some stick. But I think, we haven't seen huge amounts of him this season. But even last season, I liked him. I liked his attitude. I liked his character and personality, and that obviously isn't the defining factor of a player. The defining factor of a player is, can you do it on the pitch? But here's a guy that I thought. I think this season, every time I've seen him, I like him, and I agreed with your comments.
I think the biggest compliment I can give him is that I don't think about him. I don't have a concern about him.
We miss Romero. There's no doubt that 100%. You miss the line-breaking passes of Romero. 100%. Right?
But if Danso had to come in for Van de Ven or Danso had to come in for Romero, I'm not sitting there looking at it.
No, but we're going to be weaker. We can't pretend we're not.
No.
All lanes lead back to Palhinha Bentancur, because you had that passer in midfield that you wouldn't be like, oh, we miss Romero so much. Danso be coming and you'd be like,
that's fine.
Brill.
It's fine. Yeah.
But all lanes lead back to the midfield.
Well, no lanes lead from the midfield. Is the big problem. But yeah, no. Listen. So we've covered Danso. I like
the header
him.
in Bilbao.
The header in Bilbao. Yeah. I mean, that was just a man stepping up at the right time and just banging it. I mean, perfect.
But I love the fact that he's had to bandage himself up again this season and whatever else. He puts his head in the way of whatever. It's a proper defender.
And he was asked the question, is it hard sitting on the bench? And he said, look, I'm old enough, I'm experienced enough to know that I've just got to be ready. He never came here with any pretenses of dislodging Romero or Van de Ven. He came here with the understanding that he's going to get minutes.
Yeah.
Right? He'll get minutes, and when that opportunity comes, he's going to take them. And I completely agree with you, James. I hope that in years to come, I hope he's actually not an unsung hero. I hope he becomes a little bit of a cult figure, because he could be going down that route. I really like him. Let's move into we've done the midfield. We don't need to cover kudos.
Sorry, can I just ask you a quick question? Because obviously Roberto's asked about Dragoshin. Do we think when Dragoshin's fit that he actually gets any minutes, or do you think we're done with the Dragoshin experiment? Because there's a part of me that thinks that in a Frank system where he's not being exposed horrifically and being asked to chase back from the halfway line,
this is the point I was making.
He might be a half decent option.
This is the point that I was making about Danso. Is that I don't think it's fair, really, for us to make any judgment on Dragoshin until we see him in a proper defensive system or a team that can defend. With that said, the issue I think that I've got with Dragoshin coming back is he's a right-footed centre-back, and when he played on the left centre-back position, he can't open his body and he can't get it out to the left. I don't really want to see Danso covering for Van de Ven. I would rather see us sign a left centre-back, in which case Dragoshin goes.
There's two big problems with Dragoshin. One, you're completely right, passing ability out from the back. If you think you could drop off
on the left, I think on the right he's probably okay. Well, I don't think we've seen enough.
He could pass it to Porro like Danso does, so you're going to have that same issue. If you're defending a box, he's probably the best header of the ball in the squad. Maybe him and Danso, for sure. But the big problem with Dragoshin is if he's pressed, it's game over. Absolute game over. That he has
not good enough.
Very little composure in that regard. So I do think he'd be an improvement, but there are big concerns with him. He plays well for I think he's Romania, and he's a bit Milenkovic-like at Forest.
But isn't that a problem with the scouting then? Because if you're looking at Ange and he's come in and said, "Look, this is what I want," and then you've gone and signed Dragoshin, who can't play on the ball and
I think it was a bit of a January
emergency.
We were a bit stuffed, and he was available, and we just had to go and get him.
We should never be in that position where we're just spending 20, 30, whatever million.
$35 million on him.
We shouldn't be in that position. But here we are. I could point to the fact that. Yeah, and Roberto Camp has also said Kota Taka is also right foot. I mean, there's no point really.
He's good with his left foot. He has a left foot.
But there's no point really we don't know what he is. No. I hear you, Roberto. Like, you're not wrong. He's another player that could come in, and who knows? Hopefully he's wonderful. But I'm not prepared to have that conversation.
Vuskovic playing on the left at Hamburg?
Vuskovic is also on the right.
He's on the right, but I think he's playing on the left.
Yeah, they still don't quite have the angles unless they're using their left foot.
But we're going down avenues that are all sort of a bit hypothetical at the moment. I do think that Dragoshin is probably one of the ones that would be earmarked for sale in the summer, though. Answer to your question,
I can talk on Takai very briefly in that if you're going to compare him to like style to any of our current crop, he is quite Romero-like. He does have that pass out from the back. He's good. He can dribble with it a little bit. He's not rapid by any means, like nowhere near Van der Ven, but Van der Ven is the fastest.
But he's quick, from what I hear.
But he's quick enough. Yeah. He's not slow. Yeah. He's also really tall.
But James, the thing is,
idea how he's going to scale.
Exactly, yeah. and all of that may be true, but all of that was true in the Japanese league. And with respect, like what you said at the end there, we have no idea how he's going to scale. So it's just not a conversation that I'm prepared to have. I think in terms of Dragoshin, I would have him earmarked. Let's move.
Kota has had plantar fasciitis in his foot, so that is a pretty chronic issue. That
who has that?
Takai.
Oh, did he? Do you know something? Nobody heard of that before COVID. Plantar fasciitis.
No, Henderson had it for Liverpool. Do you remember it?
I swear to God, nobody had heard of plantar fasciitis apart from Henderson before Liverpool, and it all came about because people started working. No, this is what happened. People started working from home, and I know this because experience. But people started working from home, and we started walking around on their hard floors all the time, barefoot, and everybody was calling into their doctors saying I've got foot pain, and that's what it was. And suddenly plantar fasciitis is a thing. You've never heard of it before COVID. We're going to move through the team.
Simmons, we're getting shouted at.
We're going to come Simmons.
I love it. Keep him
waiting. We're going to come to Simmons. We've spoken about the midfield, the two central midfielders. We know all about the main man, Kudus, on the right, who I think is starting to suffer just slightly from the weight of expectation on him.
But is it the expectation on him? Sorry to interrupt you.
Go on.
Or is it just our predictability of going down that channel?
No, the expectation is on him because he's all we have.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. He's our only outlet. So exactly. Yes, there's an expectation, but it's an expectation based on necessity because there's nothing else.
Correct. Except that I would say another player that grenade. Another player who people love to hate. I don't really quite understand why.
It's very unjust.
Because I quite like him, but I'm not convinced. I like a lot of what I see, but there needs to be more. Is Odegaard.
Yeah,
and people give him a lot of shit, but he's still a kid, right?
I agree.
And I'm not saying this on the back of him having had one of his better games tonight, because his end product was still very poor. His final ball was poor. His decision-making was poor. There was a time in the first half when he cut back inside, and it happened a couple of times against Villa, I think against Matty Cash. He cut back inside, and he's not strong enough to get his body in the way and shrug off the defender, and he gets shrugged off. So there are concerns. But he's a technical footballer.
There is ability
there. There is a bit, and that's what I like to see. There is ability. Yeah.
And there was that one time he kind of Cruyffed it a little bit, or
he took chop. He frustratingly
and then played it into Richarlison.
He frustratingly took two out of the air brilliantly. one of them he had no right to take out of the air. And then the easy one when he was in, miscontrols it, goes out for a goal kick. He's a frustrating player, but there is something there, James. There is something there, isn't there?
Yeah, I was big on the Wolves Not a Bear fan club early on, and it was more from a necessity because we really needed a dribbling winger. Then he had his injury. He's slowly come back. He's improving every game. I think if you deny that, then there's no having a conversation with you. Yeah. Because if you compare him to
people get set in their views.
They have. He is a young talent. The problem is, do we need better there? Absolutely we do. Yeah. But this is what we have at the moment. Let's make the most of it. And he's had a couple of good performances. And the problem is, the final ball, we haven't seen really assisting goals yet. But if your winger and the team is disjointed and maybe they're not getting that final ball, what do you want to at least see? And this is an argument against Kudus as well, against Villa and today. You have all the dribbling and drive in the world and get to the final and get to the box and something doesn't come off. But what's the minimum you want to see from them if they're not getting that final assist, that final goal? You want to see completed dribbles. You want to see them to be dangerous. You want to see them take on their fullback, and you want to see them
win
get
a
the
corner,
ball.
Do something.
Yeah, get the ball in advanced positions and do exactly that. And he did it today.
I've got a couple of areas of concern. As I mentioned, final ball, final product decision making is an area of concern. Strength, area of concern. The one other area of concern I've got with Audebert is, I think defensively, sometimes he isn't switched on. There was 1 or 2 times in the first half where I think he was lazy in tracking his runner, and he left Gray a bit exposed, and they got in down their right-hand side, our left-hand side. So, look, there's criticisms of him, but I am far from prepared at this moment to write him off. I don't think he's going to go on to be David Ginola, let's say.
Probably not.
But I think there is something there to work with. And at this moment in time when, it could well be and through until next summer that we won't sign a left winger, he's probably the one out there on the left wing at the minute.
I'd keep persisting with him. I'd keep giving him a chance. I think if you look back at even like when Aaron Lennon joined us, right? Different because he had a lot more skill. He was quicker than Audebert.
Yeah, he just had electric pace.
He just had electric pace, and there was an excitement every time he got the ball. And Audebert doesn't get you off your seat in the same way that Lennon did.
He's silkier.
But Lennon didn't have a final ball
in style
to start with.
No.
His final ball was poor, and he grew into it, and he developed.
Players develop.
So I do have, and I said it the other day, I think Audebert needs to be given a run. I think he needs to know he's got that spot now for the next few weeks or whatever it might be, and just keep growing, keep building into that role. And then hopefully he can develop and something comes of it. Because what else have we got?
And also, we're not setting up players like Audebert and Tell just mentioned them. We're really not setting up Audebert, Tell, and we're not setting up Kudus. He's just mental. We're not setting any of them to succeed.
No, I don't think so. We're not getting them in positions.
We talked about it a lot. The wingers are getting the ball on the halfway line. We're not playing the ball centrally. We're not getting it to the final third against one-on-one. When we get it to the final third one-on-one for Kudus and Audebert, guess what? It looks bright.
Yeah.
But we don't do it often enough. We're stuck in that horseshoe. We're slow. We're laboured. The passing's poor. Everyone's far apart from each other. And we've got a mercurial new number 10 who's being written off despite having a very successful career thus far.
So, nice segue.
Yeah.
Nice segue. So I think we're all agreed on Audebert. Nice segue to Simons, because this is what their people want.
Yeah.
Right? They want to talk about Simons. So let's do it. I think I know what you're going to say. I think you're going to say people are writing him off, and ultimately he has only just arrived.
I think people that are writing him off have never seen him play before he came here. And I don't think you're in a position to comment in that regard based on 3 games in the most disjointed attack I've seen in a while. He's playing poorly, but also he's not at time. Like today, I think he got the ball a lot and he wasn't good with it. In other games, he's just not got the ball to even try.
Yeah.
But if you're going to, and this goes back to the Palhinha and Benton call, but if you're going to play
but
if you're going to play the two of them, would you just not play Xavi because he's not going to get the ball?
Yeah.
So then you almost have to go with a Bergvall or a Sarr or someone else that can play in there, because the reality is there's just no point, and I don't feel like he gets himself involved enough.
Well, here's the thing, right? Where I'm at with him, I'm just looking something up. I think people are forgetting a few things. Number one, he is very new to this league. He is very young. I saw somebody mention earlier that the problem with Audebert and Simons is that they're both lightweight. I'm going to disagree on Simons, that he's lightweight. I actually don't think he is. I was saying to you, and I'm going to throw it out there, people might disagree. I think this geezer gets fouled left, right and centre and doesn't pick up a free kick. It's the weirdest thing I've seen. And I swear to God, this isn't me just going, he's my player, you've bundled him over. He gets bundled over. It's not like when Audebert tries to cut in and the defender gets body between man and ball. Simons gets bundled over. And the Premier League and tonight, the refs will just go and play on. It's like, what is going on here?
Well,
so I don't think he's lightweight. But I think people are forgetting already that
He presses like mad, and also he got 4 tackles for Villa.
Right. He puts in his shift. He's got a good attitude, which was one of the questions, actually, when he came. But on the pitch, he's got a good attitude. But already people are forgetting. They're criticising performances. They're criticising the lack of assists and the lack of goals. Actually, he came on against Brighton, I thought was fantastic. Against Leeds away, I thought he was absolutely brilliant in that game. And he looked like the 10 that we'd been missing. Picking passes that I don't think anybody else saw.
Dink to Porro.
He did it 3 times.
He really played nicely with, I think it was
Udogie.
him, Udogie and Odegaard play all together. Yeah. That was really nice.
And when you've got Udogie going out left, you mentioned earlier we're missing Udogie. Of course you are. Who would guess we're missing a left-footed left back that can get a very good one. A very, very good one, right? Like, of course you are. I just don't think that we can judge Simons at the minute. But another interesting thing about Simons that I was thinking about, I was trying to think back to Damsgaard breaking into the Brentford team.
They've come in late because, as we've just said, I think Xavi gets himself about Splinter. He gets himself about. So he puts in tackles in.
Yeah,
and he doesn't get the fouls for some reason.
He just doesn't get the fouls. It's weird. I see Simons actually, funnily enough, as a bit of a Grealish, but with more ability and going to go on to be better. I see him in that way.
You think he's better than Grealish?
I think he will be better than Grealish.
We're talking about us like we've signed a superior wonder kid here who's been touted for a long time, and I hope he becomes that, and I hope he fulfills that potential. But
Grealish was a superior wonder kid as well, right? But
Simons has been known about.
Simons has been this for a little while. You know, if you think about Grealish's best position, drifting in off that left, that sort of diminutive player, wins you free kicks. Now the difference is, and we picked up on this as well, Grealish is one of the most fouled players in the Premier League. And anytime you touch him, he gets the foul.
It's very similar.
He gets the foul. Simons is getting whacked. And I'm interested to see what happens. I was going to say at Goodison, at the Hill Dickinson. I'm interested to see what happens. I'll be there. So actually, we'll see what happens. Probably won't, actually. But yeah, I'm interested to see the treatment that Grealish gets. And look out for this, actually, on Sunday. The treatment that Grealish gets, I guarantee you, every time he goes down, he gets the free kick. And if Simons plays, and I hope he does, if Simons plays, I reckon he gets absolutely battered and doesn't pick up a thing.
I think it's important we touch on Roberto's comment there about he likes Xavi out the left, not been that impressed in the 10. We play currently to only progress in the wide areas. And if you look at the pitch, we evacuate the centre of the pitch. And then we know, and we've discussed ad nauseum, is Bentancur and Palhinha have little drive to go forward through the middle. They're crabs, basically. They're only going sideways. You're not going to be impressed with Xavi in the 10 if he doesn't get given the opportunity to play in the 10. And I would argue that there's no reason why he couldn't get past the ball from our wide players once we've got to the final third in that way, in the 10. But we've all seen that clip of him at Villa, hands out like this, saying, "Someone passed me." Or he's getting it.
The one from Tell.
Yeah.
Where Tell.
And then Odegaard's run was really poor because he doesn't stretch the defence.
Odegaard's got to break his neck to get outside, Tell.
Yeah,
right?
Not run on top of his toes.
Yeah, not go.
I'd say until we see him in that,
but we did. We saw him at Leeds. That's what we thought. That's what we thought.
That little dink to Porro was.
But there were 3 of them. There were 3 that he did. Passes that nobody else saw.
Do you not think sideways passing is part of the plan? Yeah, I think the plan is to go down the wide positions, but we saw when Gray later on in the game, like he was driving through the middle. I don't think it's the be-all, end-all.
You've got to move it quickly. It's got to be moved quickly out wide, and then you play a little one-touch, give and go, and you kind of open the game up. But we're just so predictable. It's slow, it's laborious,
get some switches
out
in
wide.
But I'm going to go back to, I do think we are in the very embryonic stages of Frank, and this is a team that I think people forget, and I think people gloss over this far too quickly, possibly because we won the Europa League, so there is a misconception that we're actually a good team. This is a team that lost something like 30 out of the last 50 Premier League games before Frank. This was a team that was relegation levels. This was a team that could not pass to one another. Couldn't defend, had no defensive structure. We spoke about structure. We can come back to that now because we've covered Simons. There's one other player that I do want to cover, but we'll talk about structure very briefly now. I think people forget how bad this team was. And yes, people might say it's not much better now. Well, it is, because we ain't getting beat left, right and centre. I'm writing off Villa because I think that's a freak result. They should never have won that game.
Which goal was it though of that match which really annoyed me, where Spence was left all alone for 2 players and then they scored the long? Was it the first
Villa?
or second against Villa? Yeah,
it must
have been the second.
Spence just had 2 players to mark and then they scored a long shot.
It was the ball in. I mean,
even that ball,
even that ball in from that horrible little oik Cash.
Yeah.
I mean, it had to be bloody him, didn't it? I mean, he's played the ball of his absolute life. Dini's taken a touch that 9 times out of 10 he doesn't take, and even then it was lucky that it's just bounced back to the geezer that's gone on to score. I mean, but even then you can step out to the players. But I don't want to labour the point. I think that was, we are now a team that's hard to beat, and this is a team that was getting beaten for fun. We knew before we went on the pitch that we would beat. So I think the expectation levels naturally as a fan are you want to be entertained, you want to go out and beat teams, you want to play with a swagger, because we are Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. But you've also got to remember, and I don't say this lightly, how fucking dreadful we were for a good year and a half. And I say a year and a half because it was October 2023, basically after the first 10 games. Chelsea onwards, when we had the 2 sendings off and the injuries, right? From then onwards, we were a joke. So that is how far back we went. That is what we need to rebuild from.
Yeah.
And I think it's a long, long way to go.
There's concerns to have.
Yeah.
You can have concerns. I think people demanding Frank out is premature. But my concerns are midfield makeup and also the distances between players.
Yeah.
I do find like we're passing distances feel really long. Not just and I don't just mean hoofball.
Structurally, there's problems.
I just feel like we're very far apart from each other.
Yes.
And
the defence was miles away from the attack.
And a lack of movement. And George, we always fail to pronounce, I don't know how to pronounce your name, Jorge or George Pena, don't know. Either way, you talked about the walking football. If you remember Pochettino and other teams that play possession, there's a lot of slow passing, but it's knowing when to speed it up, it's knowing when to increase the pace of it, and it's knowing when to slow it down. Those things do take a lot of time.
Yes.
But you look at that lot down the road, right? They shift it sideways, it's very deliberate, slow, whatever, and then it's bang, 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 bang.
Well, if you want to talk about that lot down the road, okay, Arteta finished 8th twice in his first 2 seasons.
I would say the football was slightly better than what we're watching at the moment.
Probably. I think he probably started from a higher point than we are. Yeah, he didn't start from 17th, losing every game, every week, pathetically to utter crap, right? He didn't. But he still finished 8th twice. I say to you that we finish higher than 8th this season. I think we will finish higher than 8th this season. So, I don't care. People call me a hater because of Ange. I'm not hating Ange. I don't really care about Ange anymore. I'm saying this team was dreadful. This team was dreadful last season, and it was dreadful for half of the season before that. And this was a team that was used to losing every single week in the most mild, pathetic way. And yes, tonight we rode our luck. Fine, fair enough. Keeper had a blinder. I also think to myself, there was one save which I thought was exceptional. Every other save, if that goes in, I'm thinking he's probably going to get pelters. So, in as much as he's man of the match and he's got himself in the way, I actually don't think
he was tested that way.
They tested him that well. Some of the finishing was poor. That's also true. We rode our luck tonight. Structurally, there are problems.
Yeah, we were lucky tonight, but I don't. We were lucky tonight, but we haven't been relegation bad.
But I don't think we've been lucky. I don't think we've been lucky throughout the season generally. In fact, against Villa, I thought we were very unlucky. So perhaps we got that bit of luck tonight that we didn't get against Villa. Perhaps we should have got the draw or even the win against Villa and lost tonight. Them is the ways it goes, right?
Villarreal earlier in the season,
but they did nothing.
But we were bad.
But we were terrible again. We're at home. We should be.
Oh, I'm not going to. We look terrible, don't we?
There are structural problems. There are structural problems, as you say. The defence is too far away from the attack. There's nothing coming through midfield. There are problems in this team. That is without a doubt.
Roberto, Bournemouth and Palace are like the 2 of the top informed teams in the league. But yeah, 8th, I don't think 8th's a miracle, but at the moment I would say that 8th may be the upper echelon of what I think we would achieve this season, maybe. On early viewings and the behind the scenes stats now that we're a number of games in.
I
things
suspect,
will change with time.
I suspect that we will get better.
All the managers that are compared we compare Frank to have either come into teams in a better place or have been there for a while. He gets compared to Iraola a lot. Iraola's been at Bournemouth like 3 years.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Iraola also lost his first 10.
Iraola
also lost his first 10 games at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
And they were talking about him being sacked.
He's also got a bit of the Bielsa about him, where come around a point next year, their energy levels drop because they press like Bielsa and Ange. And
Glasner went through a really tough time at the beginning, an incredibly tough time. In fact, I think Glasner nearly got sacked.
Was it start of last season or this last season where they
start of last season
where they really struggled? But
until they played who?
Yeah, Glasner's an interesting case because I think with like his level is making mediocre teams mentally good. Like Frankfurt, I think when he went there, someone can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong because I am not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure they were pretty middling when he came in, and then they've gone on from there. He's some wizard with lower level teams. But
everybody's looking at Glasner and saying Palace this and Bournemouth that. These guys took time. It takes time. And this is why. This isn't me hating Ange. This is me reminding people. This is a team that lost 22 Premier League games last season. This is not a good team. This isn't a team
that knows... Or is that the players?
Well, it's a combination of everything, right? It's just
the players haven't changed
but ultimately, it doesn't matter whether it's the managers or the players. This is what Frank is working with at the minute, right? It is a team that lost 22 Premier League games. This isn't me hating Ange. This is just a statement of fact. This is a team that lost a lot.
Didn't we lose like 30? We've lost like 30 goals out of the first 11 as well,
right.
Which is a point. But
and you've lost a huge number of goals. This is a transition. It is. And this isn't me defending the performances because the performances are not good enough at this moment. But it is me saying, I think as a group of fans, I'm going to throw it out there, we need a bit of patience, we need a bit of tolerance, we need to remember where we are coming from, because where we're coming from is a very low point, much lower than I think people realise. And, we've got to give this guy time.
Yeah.
Okay? I do want to come on to one last point.
I was also going to say, I'm not ready to be so down on Frank and us right now just from a mental standpoint.
No.
Just for my own mental health. Just because, my days last season, the Europa League was such a euphoric, amazing time, which I can't top. But oh my god, otherwise it was pretty dire.
I struggle to think
I'm going to try and be as hopeful as I can while it's still pointing out issues I see with the team.
Look, when you hear Frank in an interview and you hear what he has to say, and he identifies some of the issues that we also see, I therefore have some faith with his coaching staff, which, someone like Cochrane, who's very highly regarded, that him and his coaching staff are at least going to be addressing some of these issues.
Correct.
And maybe not immediately, but it will take time, but we will get there.
That's the point.
With Ange and his staff, I didn't necessarily believe that they were seeing. I think they were deluded in what they were seeing.
Right.
Nothing changed, except the Europa League, we decided to throw away all the principles and play awful football.
Play turgid football.
But ultimately,
but the right football to win the tournament.
But with Frank, everything in his career and the way he's spoken his career and how he approaches the game is constant learning.
Correct.
And it's trying to make changes and tweaks. My worry is we haven't seen that much tinkering yet.
Well, I'm going to pick up on that. I'm going to pick up on that. I'm going to say if there is a bit that gives me a little bit of confidence, it is that he seems to have dispensed already with Johnson. And that, to me, says this guy sees things for what they are, but he only has what he has to work with at this moment. Okay?
Well, it definitely identifies that we like to progress down the wing, and if Johnson has the ball for more than one touch,
he's done.
He's done.
So there are things here. I think as well, we have got injuries. Like I say, Romero is out, Dogo's out. People say we didn't give Ange that credibility. Well, Ange started with a very fit team, full strength team. And then the injuries came. This guy, I don't think, has had a chance to play close to a full strength team.
I broke down the injuries in one of my friends brought it up, and I was like, so we had an absolute crazy amount of muscle injuries last year. This season we got Maddison and ACL.
Yeah,
bit of a freak landing.
Yeah,
in a preseason game. What did Kulusevski do? Break his patella or something ridiculous?
Yeah, that was last season.
Solanke has had an ongoing ankle injury for about a season.
Apparently,
over
had
a
it
year.
when he signed.
Yeah, he's had it for ages.
Yeah.
Who else? Takai, plantar fasciitis.
Well, we've now got Romero with this abductor.
So there's the two.
But that's a recurring injury, doesn't it? I
don't know. Two in the injury list that are really my only concerns, and that is Udogie and Romero. That's because Romero picks up little muscle injuries here and there, always has. Whole career at Spurs, he's done that. Doesn't matter which manager it is. Yeah. It can be exemplified by another manager's style for sure, because of how much you ask him to work, but he was going to get one this season. It's happened. Yeah. Udogie keeps getting a little other hamstring little issue, or this time it's a little bit of knee pain. He does seem a little injury prone, but then on the flip side, Richarlison, sorry, I hit my mic, guys. Sorry, I hope it didn't bang on everyone's earphones. Richarlison has been broken for so long, and suddenly he's fixed because of the attentive care that's been taken. Yeah. So a lot of the injuries we have are like freak injuries. Yeah. Where and they've been
they've carried over from last season and so on. So you're quite right. But listen, it's early days. It's still very, very early days. I want to touch on two quick things.
Roberto, don't give me fear like that. He's not having surgery.
There was a player. No. Roberto's thinking back to a player, and I was trying to think who it was because I heard abductor with Romero, and it gave me a spine tingle because there was a player. I don't know if it was Kane or Kulusevski or Bale. There was a player that had an abductor issue, and it kept them out for the best part of the season, and I cannot remember who it was. But Roberto Camp is quite right in our comments. The abductor could even require surgery if it doesn't heal right. And I cannot think who this player was, but a big player for us, had an abductor before, and it kept him out for a very long time. Might have been Lamella. I'm just throwing names out there. But
I think it was Lamella.
Lamella
was out for a long time.
Lamella's first injury was like a weird mixed diagnosis at the club.
But there was a player, I heard abductor, and I'm like, we've had an abductor before.
If it's a sportsman's hernia, people play through sportsman's hernias for however long. I mean, Owen, when he had a hernia, was back within a week.
Look, I just don't think you take risks, right? And hopefully Romero's back soon, but you don't take risks. Listen, I want to touch on two quick things. One player we didn't speak about very much was Kolo Muani. For the first time tonight, I thought he came on and looked a little bit like the player that we thought we were going to get. Another one, this is what injuries do to you. This is what a lack of a pre-season does to you. He looked like he hadn't played. He looked like a bit of a donkey against Villa. I will confess, that I wasn't highly praising of him again that performance, but tonight he came on and he looked like a man.
He's not played since the Club World Cup.
Yeah, he looked like a man up front. He looked big. He was holding it up. I wouldn't mind seeing him start on the weekend.
I'd like to see him start
if he can, if he's fit enough.
I'm just keen to see different things. Yeah,
let's talk about Everton quickly because it's late. It's 11:10. We've got work and whatever else tomorrow. I've got to go and put the dog to bed. Let's talk about Everton quickly on the weekend. Tough game.
Yeah, it is a tough game. I think it's quick turnaround, obviously, after another Champions League game, and we haven't got any fluidity at the moment. So I'm just hoping that Spence will come back into that side. I have no doubt. It would be Van der Ven, Danso, Porra right back again, and then we just hope that he's maybe sees the light, brings in one of the guys that we've spoken about in midfield alongside Palhinha.
I don't see it.
I don't necessarily either.
But I also don't know that in a away game like that, it would be the worst thing. I'm more keen to see that at home. But
there are games where I think it's useful. City, games where you just want solidity and want these opportunities and two guys that are going to work, challenge, and get it forward. There is a place for it, but not in games. Mind. But Everton, I really like the look of them this season. And Jai is brilliant.
He's very good.
Someone linked us with him this week, and I'd be thrilled to get him in.
Grealish as well. He's finding his feet. He's back in form. I think if we could get a point there, it wouldn't be a bad result.
No, not at all.
I think Dewsbury Hall has always been a good player, and I feel like it's kind of his level.
Yeah.
Good midfield.
Grealish,
Garner's good. I think they're a really good side, and David Moyes just knows the league.
Yeah.
Knows what he's doing. Good attention to detail.
I mean,
I'm not confident, but there's a bit of similarities between Moyes and Frank. Moyes always gets branded as quite a defensive coach, but he's never been that. It's just always structure first.
Yeah.
And I think everything's got too black and white in football and the world and in everything.
Yes.
And I think it's pragmatism or it's gung-ho. No.
Yeah.
No, you can have attacking coaches that have good defences. It's been loads. You can have defensive coaches that create good attacks.
Correct.
In counter-attacks.
Yeah.
And also, guess what? There's people in the middle, and I really think they're in the middle.
Yeah.
And Moyes
and talk to us
was
about
perfect for
Brentford last season, were scored more goals than us, created more chances than us.
Yeah, Brentford obviously have the luxury that we do not have of everyone's going to try and play against them, which is not something we have. If you let us play, you know we're going to hurt you. The best thing to do is give us space. Best thing to do with us is really stodge it up. Brentford never really had that, but Brentford, he changed them year on year, made them get a little bit more possession, less transitional, still always transitional, still wanting to attack fast, still wanting to mix it up, play long here and there, get the wingers in behind, getting your Mbeumo in behind, Sharda, etc. Using Tony when he was there as a hold-up guy. Visser was very much that hold-up guy, wants to play into the striker. But he moved from a back three to a back four, and he made changes and he made them more attacking. But there was always that core base to be solid. And hey, look, if Frank isn't the guy to take us forward to the epitome of what we could be, that's fine. But we definitely need a coach to get us somewhere. And after last season, I feel like whether Frank does get us to the top or not, I do see him progressing us. And if he hopefully can hand us over to someone else
I agree
to take
with that.
us forward.
And I think Frank, he focuses on the small details as well. And he always talks about the 1% and all these little wins. And the Brentford side, they scored the most early goals. They came flying out the blocks and scoring within inside a minute or two. We had Bentancur at the weekend scoring early. I don't think it's any coincidence. I think he looks at all of these little details. So I am confident that he can start putting these little 1% together. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to suddenly add 10%, but you might be adding 1% at a time. So I think we'll get somewhere. Are we going to ultimately have the ultimate success with Frank? Probably not. But I think he will stabilise us and help us to grow.
Moani, possibly. Let's ask if we should have Moani start at top. Maybe yes. I think just me reeling off Brentford there and thinking about it, Tony and Visser, really important for hold-up play. And Richarlison, it's not best at it. Tell is a winger, in my opinion, or like a wide forward. He can't, his hold-up play is not quite there either. Colin Moani, I don't think it's a key part of his game, but it looked right tonight. It looked all right tonight. And then Solanke might truly be key when he comes back.
Will be key.
And then now I'm just trying to think, okay, if we have that striker and we want to get the ball into Xavi and we want to play it centrally, maybe we're looking for that long pass or fizzed pass into the striker to then maybe lay it off
to Xavi and then
go. Maybe it's moves like that, and maybe without that. Look, I'm
is
talking about
progress. We can't possibly
maybe
I was linked with Ivan Toney this morning.
We can't possibly know anything yet because I just don't think he's had the luxury of being close to the type of team that he wants to play. So at this moment, it is what it is. It's stodgy, it's turgid, it's a tough watch, but I think we'll go up to, I can't want to say Goodison, I think we'll go up to Everton and I think we'll get a point. I think we've got a chance of winning. And I think there's a huge amount more to come from this team. If you talk about the 1%, there is one thing I'd like to see because it drove me mad tonight. It drove me mad on the weekend, and that is our throw-ins, not the long throws, but our just general throw-ins in defensive positions or midfield. It looks like we've got no clue what we're doing. So let's try and work on that and retain the ball from our throw-in.
They're in worse form than us. I didn't realise. But they've got one win in 5.
But look, it is what it is. I think George Penn is saying he doesn't see it.
Let someone be positive.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say after 10 games or 8 games, whatever it is, of an era that it's not going to work. I think any manager is entitled to 18 months. And for everybody that comes at me for my views on Ange, actually gave him 18 months. It was December of last year when I turned. That was 18 months, I gave him. And I saw the same mistakes, the same things happening. I didn't see the progress. I saw us going backwards. But I gave him those 18 months, and I will give Frank these 18 months, especially because of where we were coming from. And I see the players that we've got coming back into the team. I see us being generally harder to beat. And I think we'll get there. And, I hope we get there. So we live in hope. They say that hope's the thing that kills you. Oh, hopefully not. There you go. Gents, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here. Thank you for being here so late. Thank you to everybody for listening to us tonight. The boys will be back on Monday morning to dissect whatever happens at the Hill Dickinson. I won't be dialing in after the game because I'll be on a train. But I'm really looking forward to it. There's so much positivity out there. Ronnie, Everton 1, Tottenham 0. Somebody said Everton 2, Tottenham 0.
What are we going to do?
Are we going to do predictions? Let's do predictions. Go on.
1-0.
I was going to say 1-1 as well.
I'm going to go with the Spurs 2-1 win. Great stuff. Lads, good evening. Safe journey home. Thanks for being with us. And up the Spurs.
Up the Spurs.